Valentine sees through Anna, and the truth comes spilling out. Oh, darlings, this first story is one of the most beautifully written, emotionally precise things General Hospital has handed us this summer. Because it is not about a villain or a scheme or a courtroom revelation. It is about two people who have known each other longer than almost anyone else in their lives, standing in a room together, and one of them finally seeing what everyone else has been missing. Because Valentine knows Anna. He knows her in the particular way that only decades of shared history and genuine love can create. And he is not going to let her perform recovery at him the way she has been performing it at everyone else. He arrives at her door carrying Jocelyn's message. And at first, everything seems fine. Anna is warm. She is present. She says the right things and holds herself the right way and gives every outward appearance of a woman who has done the work and come through the other side. Valentine is genuinely glad to see her. He tells her what he could not say while everything was happening, that it broke his heart knowing what was being done to her. That he called the clinic, found ways to check in on her even from a distance, even when the people around him had no idea he was doing it. That not being able to go to her directly was one of the hardest things he has had to live with. And then something shifts, something so small that most people would miss it entirely. Anna's eyes move. Just slightly, just briefly, towards something or someone that Valentine cannot see. And he catches it. Of course he catches it. Because this is Valentine watching Anna. And there is nothing about Anna that Valentine has ever missed. He does not panic. He does not make a scene. He simply, gently, carefully, with all the love of someone who has known her since before she became the legend Port Charles celebrates, tells her she is safe, and encourages her to tell him what she sees. Anna gets defensive. Not because she is angry at him, but because being seen clearly by someone you love when you have been working so hard to hide is terrifying. She wants to know how he could possibly know. And the answer, of course, is that it is written all over her face to anyone who has ever truly looked at it. What follows is a confession that Anna has not been able to make to anyone else. She tells him about the trauma that resurfaced when Cassius appeared. She tells him, haltingly, painfully, about what she has been seeing, about Peter appearing, about the voice in her ear that will not quiet, about the things that voice is pushing her toward that she knows are not right but cannot fully silence on her own. And Valentine sits with all of it. He does not flinch. He does not look at her differently. He holds space for the most frightening thing Anna has ever admitted out loud, and he stays. That moment between them is going to be one of the most moving scenes this show delivers all summer. And it is going to complicate everything for Anna's recovery, for Valentine's relationship with Carly, and for the quiet, dangerous voice inside Anna's head that is absolutely not going to appreciate Valentine getting this close to the truth. Sidwell's trial is coming, and he has absolutely no intention of going quietly. Now, darlings, let us talk about a man who has never once in his entire life accepted an outcome he did not choose for himself. Because Sidwell is sitting in that cell, watching the machinery of the legal system gear up around him, and he is already thinking about the exit. Not the exit through a courtroom after being found innocent, though he would take that if it were available. The other kind of exit, the one that leaves law enforcement standing in an empty space where a very dangerous man used to be. Sonny had him. Right there in his hands. In that gallery, with the moment presenting itself clearly, Sonny could have ended this. Every instinct he had was pointing toward it. And then Justine made her case. Do it legally. Do it right. Let the system handle what the system exists to handle. Sonny listened. He stepped back. He let the handcuffs go on instead of doing what his gut was screaming at him to do. And now Sonny is sitting with the possibility that he may have made the wrong call. Because Sidwell does not do prison. He does not sit in a cell and accept whatever sentence a jury decides he deserves. He has resources that did not disappear when he got arrested. He has people, loyal people, who have been waiting quietly in the background for exactly this kind of moment. He has the financial infrastructure of a man who has spent decades preparing for the possibility that things might go wrong. And he is already working. The trial itself is going to be eventful in ways nobody is fully prepared for. The charges are substantial: attempted murder, kidnapping, hostage-taking, the whole terrible catalog of what Sidwell has done in Port Charles. Testimony is going to be dramatic. Secrets are going to surface in ways that reach far beyond Sidwell himself. And somewhere in the middle of all of that chaos, Sidwell is going to see his window. A transport van. A staged accident. A moment of confusion that creates just enough space for someone with his particular skill set to disappear. The details of exactly how it happens are still unfolding, but the direction is clear. Sidwell is going to make a move. And when he does, Sonny is going to have a decision to make about whether he exercises the kind of justice the legal system failed to deliver. Like a bad penny, darlings. Sidwell will be back. And the next time he surfaces, wherever that is, whenever that is, Port Charles had better be paying attention. Lucas and Britt find each other, and an unlikely home takes shape. And now, darlings, we close this week with something that is genuinely warm and genuinely unexpected, because in the middle of all the danger and drama and heartbreak swirling through Port Charles, two people who both have nowhere to go are sitting down together at a table and figuring out that maybe the answer is each other. Not romantically, at least not right now, but in that particular way that genuine friendship offers shelter when everything else feels unstable. Lucas and Britt have had a complicated relationship over the years. They have not always been each other's biggest fans. There have been moments of friction, of misunderstanding, of competing loyalties pulling them in different directions. But underneath all of that has always been something real, a connection built on knowing each other's worst and sticking around anyway. And right now, when both of them are standing in Port Charles without a place to land, that connection is doing something important. Lucas is not going back to Windermere. That chapter is closed in ways that go beyond the physical. That place holds too much of the wrong kind of history right now. And Carly's home is complicated with Valentine there, and Lucas is simply not the kind of person who imposes. He knows his sister's life is full, and he is not going to add to the crowding. Britt walked out of that cell with $5 and a future she never expected to have. She does not have a home in Port Charles right now. She does not have a plan. She has her freedom and her health and a completely open horizon, which is both wonderful and genuinely disorienting when you have spent years making peace with a very different kind of future. But there's Bobby's. The cafe that carries a name that means something to Lucas in the deepest possible way, because Bobby was his adoptive mother, and this place is part of his inheritance in the truest sense. Not just the building or the business, but the spirit of it. The warmth. The idea that this is a place where people are taken care of. There is room upstairs. There is space for two people who need somewhere to be while they figure out what comes next. And so Lucas and Britt, sitting across from each other at that table in the preview, talking about misdiagnoses and jail releases and all the things that have happened to both of them, maybe quietly without either of them fully naming it, figuring out that they're going to be okay. Together, at least for now, in the most unlikely and somehow perfect roommate arrangement Port Charles has produced in a long time. There is one complication sitting on the horizon though. Jason is coming home. And Jason, finding out that the illness that shaped so many of Britt's choices was never real, that she was gaslighted into believing she was dying when she was not, is going to have feelings about that. Complicated feelings. And the conversation between Jason and Britt about what she knew and what she did not know and what any of it means for what existed between them is going to be one of the most emotionally layered exchanges the summer delivers. But for right now, for this moment, Lucas and Britt have a table, a conversation, and the beginning of something that looks a lot like hope. Port Charles is running at full speed this week, darlings. Valentine sitting with Anna's truth and refusing to look away. Sidwell scheming from behind bars toward an exit that nobody is fully ready for. And two people without a home finding one in each other in the most unexpectedly sweet corner of all this chaos. This is why we love the show. Not just for the drama, though the drama is extraordinary, but for the moments like this one. The small, human, genuinely touching moments that remind you what all the rest of it is actually about.